What's going on, family? It's Brother Coasty at IALLG.com, and today we got the bread and butter of what I'm attempting and building right now in the rest of the world, and it is the roadmap to autonomy, right? So everybody says they want freedom, everybody says they want to pursue their purpose, and these are great things. However, let's put it into I like to say the overall label, and it's autonomy, right? And autonomy is the ability to create a life that you desire. That's autonomy, right? Nobody else dictates what you're doing. Nobody else tells you where you need to be. Nobody else is telling you how you can make ways out of no ways, right? It's all on you. And the beauty of it is there's a roadmap for it. So today we're going to go ahead and talk about it. We're going to go to the board, right? So let's get with it. So this is the roadmap to autonomy, a high-level overview. This is what I'm building. This is what I'm helping you realize within your own life. So everything starts here, right? It starts with mission, right? And I want to let you know that you have multiple missions in this life. Don't get that confused with your vision, right? Mission and vision tie together. They're not the same, right? Vision is the end goal. So it's a little bit down here. Mission is where you start. And you have multiple missions when you're on the road to your vision, right? You can think of missions as journeys, as quests, as little tasks, big tasks, but they have a beginning and an end, right? That's the mission. But everything starts with mission, right? And when you're on these missions, whether it's a good mission or a bad mission or ends in success or failure, you start learning things about yourself. And what you start learning is mission leads to your purpose, right? Because while you're on these missions, you start figuring out certain things about yourself, things that you like, things that you enjoy, things that set your heart on fire, things that you don't want to do, right? So as you go on your missions, you will discover your purpose, right? So what's the bridge between mission and purpose? It's action, right? You have to take action, right? And that's what will lead you to your purpose, right? And I put these side by side. I want to say they're actually going to be upside down, but they can kind of run side by side, right? When you figure out your purpose, you typically also figure out your passion, right? What you enjoy doing. Because what happens is when you have to do a lot of missions or you have multiple different missions, you know that missions take time, missions take energy, missions take effort. And typically, especially when we get older, you get disconnected from your passion, right? Passion is what gets you up in the morning or in the rising. Passion is what allows you to do things without necessarily getting the biggest reward that you may want out of it, right? Passion is really what drives you, and it's a thing that's bigger than yourself, right? You just have a passion for it. You don't even know why it's birthed. You might know where it was introduced, right? So we'll be like, I love airplanes. Why do you love airplanes? Well, I saw my dad building airplanes, right? That's not why you have a passion for it. That's where it was introduced to you and it was brought in front of your eyes, right? But a passion is something inside. It burns deep within you, right? That's why they say rekindling the passion. It's something within, and you figure out your passion by going on your missions, and you will discover your purpose and passion by going through missions, by taking action, right? And once you discover these two things, your purpose and your passion, right? Because they're not always the same. Your purpose might be to educate people, and your passion might be to be a speaker, right? You can combine those things, but they're not always the same. They have their own separate categories. In fact, I think it's the Chinese, but they created something called the 𝐁𝐫𝐤 or the 𝐒𝐫𝐤𝐤, and it basically maps out 4 different areas that you can basically synergize to create a passion or a purpose-filled life. But y'all can go ahead and look that up on your own. 𝐁𝐫𝐤𝐤. If you'd like an awesome tool over the 𝐒𝐫𝐤, I want you to reach out to me. Let's have a conversation about that. But we're going to keep moving on, right? Once you discover your purpose and your passion, what you do when you marry them, right? You got to marry this. This is the goal. Once you can marry your purpose and your passion, you are on fire. Why are you on fire? Literally, your passion is on fire and you're living in your purpose. Both your physical and your spiritual are coming together. You're on fire, you're solid, and you know what that leads to? Intentional living, right? You are living intentionally. And when you're living intentionally, you become the creator. And guess what? That's autonomy, family. That's autonomy. I'm going to go over these 2 areas right here, right? This is why it's so important to get on your road to autonomy. This is why it's so important that you get to this point where you're living intentionally. Family, I get so excited. I know you can feel the energy, right? So I'm gonna take a breather. You do it with me on 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, family. The reason it's so important to reclaim your autonomy and live intentionally is because we're actually in the middle of a shift right now. It's a big shift, and a lot of people, if you're not prepared for it, you will suffer. And I don't mean suffer like you're necessarily going to be in pain, but you're going to be in spiritual anguish. You're not going to want to get up every day, and you're going to be forced to, because your survival is going to be built on it or based on it. This is the shift, right? This is the old shift, or the old way of living. This is the new way of living, or really this is the new way of living, because new was basically the primordial, right? It was always is, always there, and always will be. But this is the new way of living. This is the old way of living, right? The old way of living was time-centered. It was a time-centered approach, right? So you go to work and you say, I'm going to put in my time, and that's going to give me what I need, right? I'm going to put in my time, that's going to give me what I need, right? The time is a byproduct of what we're going to talk about in the new approach. Time is a byproduct, but we've been living in the byproduct of what should have been the original focus, right? So what do I mean by that? It's a reward incentive, right? The old way is reward-based. And when I say reward-based, it's like, if you do this, you'll get this, right? So if you work really, really, really hard, you'll get this much money. And if you do the best at your job, you'll get the most money. That reward-based incentive disconnects you from your purpose and your passion, right? Because you don't want to do things just because you get a reward. You want to do them because you have a purpose and a passion that it fulfills. That is the most efficient way of operating and living, and that is where we're headed right now. So the new way we're living, or we're headed right now, is energy-centered, right? When I say energy-centered, you putting in energy. The time is a byproduct, right? You're putting in a lot of energy in things. I don't know if you ever worked on a project, or we'll say you're going on a date with somebody that you really, really like, and you're putting a lot of energy into that date. You're putting a lot of energy into the conversation, and what happens naturally, time zooms on by. You're like, wow, this is wild. If you've ever worked on an awesome project or something that you really like, or one of your hobbies, you don't mind spending a whole bunch of time, because time is a non-factor. You're putting in energy into it, and by the energy that you put in, you get an awesome product. This is what's happening when you operate from source, right? This is the new way of living. This is the new way we're going into. It's operating from source. If you're not operating from source, you are not living at your fullest potential. You're not living intentionally, because you're living based off of a byproduct of source. The byproduct of the energy that you're putting into something is time. It is not the sole focus. It's energy. The reason that autonomy is so important is because it allows you to live intentionally, which is marrying your purpose and your passion. You're putting massive action, and you're completing a lot of missions, right? It's not the completing of the missions that's so important. It is the putting of the energy into your source, right? Your source, everybody is source. But your source, for the sake of this conversation, is your purpose and passions. These are the things that drive you, right? These are the things that move us. This is a new way of living, and the faster you can go through this step to live intentionally, you will become autonomous. And when you live autonomously, you live happier. You have a different glow. You articulate yourself differently. You make the right connections in your life. Everybody should be able to live autonomously. And look, you can go on this road by yourself, and that's fine. That's awesome. I have complete faith in you. But you can also go on this with a guide, somebody that's willing to hold your hand or show you some of the things that you may be missing on your roadmap, right, or on your journey. If that's you, if you're number 2, if you'd like the guide, if you'd like the assistance, if you'd like help, even being able to identify your purpose and your passions, I want you to reach out to me. I'm Brother 𝐁𝐫𝐶. You can visit IALLG.com. There you can go ahead and pick one of the 2 options where you identify, and you can just schedule a time with me. It costs nothing to you except for your time and attention, and what you'll get is some insights into your life And hopefully I can help you. And if not, you'll get some tips and tools that you can take along the way. This is Brother 𝐁𝐫𝐨𝐭𝐡𝐞𝐫 again at IALLG.com. I'm looking forward to speaking with you soon. Peace. Oh, button's not working.